Hello, everybody. I just wanted to touch bases with everybody and make sure that we didn't overlook the test. The test will be due on Sunday, September 24 at midnight, 11:59 p.m. Please remember that as you take the test, give yourself at least 2 hours prior to that 11:59 p.m. deadline to take the test. In other words, the test, you can't wait until the very end and take the test, and it will not stay open. It will go offline. Please do not overlook this, the deadline. That said, we've got a couple of procedural things and a couple of substantial issues to address to respond to the quiz work and to the best way to approach studying for the test. Many folks, I think, incorrectly expect, and I'm going to do a blow-by-blow recap of every bit of material so that you can ignore reading parts of the text. That's not going to be the case. What I will tell you to do as you review to take the test is this. You have chapter PowerPoints. Please go through every chapter PowerPoint and use the PowerPoints as the basis to do a selective, directed reading of each chapter. Okay? That's for you to do. So that's the test. That's how you need to review yourself for the test. You have quizzes. You have chapter PowerPoints. You have a text. I would also recommend reviewing the glossary. Glossary are definitions that are at the end of each chapter for key terms, and knowing what those key terms are. You're allowed to use materials when you take the test, so that shouldn't be a problem. Because of this, I don't feel it at all necessary to do anything else. Other than taking the test for you, there's little more I can do. So I know everyone will do very well. The first 2 questions, each question's worth about anywhere between 1.81 to 2 points. The first 2 or 3 questions are weighed more heavily. They're easier questions, and they're more broad overview questions. But the questions are all multiple choice. There are 55 of them. Untimed open source tests, so you don't have to worry about that. Again, that said, please take the test at least 2 hours prior to the cut point, September 24, 11:59 p.m. Okay? A couple of review points that I want to go over regarding quiz questions. It's gotten done grading quizzes 3 and 4. Quiz 4 is a true-false, and it grades itself. So the first thing is the distinction between a social problem and a personal trouble. Many people didn't read into the material enough to establish that they're not separate and distinct things. It's not an either-or framework. And everyone who has personal troubles experiences some individual downturn. Okay? It is when enough people experience personal troubles that it becomes a social problem. And it's never experienced by everyone in society. Okay? It's kind of like a flu epidemic, right? If you look at a map of a flu outbreak of the United States, you see, in this flu season coming up, you'll see regions where the flu is heavy and regions where it doesn't exist at all. That said, if you're experiencing the flu yourself, that's a personal trouble. It becomes a social problem when sufficiently large numbers of people in a geography experience the flu. Okay? So it's not an either or proposition. Some people are kind of thinking didactically that way. That's not the case. Other issue that I kind of wanted to go over was institutional racism. Okay? Institutional racism does not have anything to do with individuals, although it is experienced by individuals, most certainly. It has to do with the characteristics of social arrangements, institutional arrangements, banking, finance, of course, criminal justice, many people identified that, the healthcare system, mass media, etc. In a way that racism is built into the institutional arrangements. It is not a conscious individual process. It's not merely a case of the sort of uptick in observation of problematic interactions with police. What it is it's based in the protocols and the procedures in which people are apprehended. Okay, so institutional racism functions separate and distinct from individuals, and it functions in a manner that is quite independent of whether one is individually a racist or not. Okay, they may very well be. It certainly contributes to it, but that's not. We need to go beyond merely thinking individually about this. If there was a policy, for example, and there was in the banking and mortgage industry in the 1990s, where one's relatives had to have good credit, that systematically disadvantaged people of color who were making progress in terms of having individually very excellent credit, but may have had relatives who did not. So that's how institutional racism works. Okay, it's not about individuals or whether people are racist or not. That is not what we're talking about. This is sociology, not a psychology of racism class. So if we keep these two things in mind, and if you think in terms of groups, in terms of characteristics, in terms of process, you'll do well on the test. Okay? So please pay attention to these issues as you move along. I look forward to seeing excellent work on the test. I'm sure everyone did quite excellent work so far. Okay? Please also keep in mind the due dates on the calendars that are located on as I'm looking at the screen, it's in the left column. The calendars provide you all the due dates for all the tests and quizzes and assignments. From here on out, the quizzes are going to be by and large true, false, or multiple choice quizzes. Quizzes are designed from here on out to assess the degree to which you've read into the material or not. Prior to this, of course, we had substantial quizzes because we need to establish sort of a baseline of thinking sociologically. Many people have done excellent work. So continue your efforts. I look forward to us moving together. Thank you.